Hello and welcome to Straight Talk with me, Sifiso Mahlangu. Today I'm seated next to COSATU President, Mr. Sdumo Dlamini. We have a lot to get into, so please stay tuned. Mr. Dlamini, I welcome you to the show.
Thank you very much, Sifiso. Thank you for having me. It's the first time on your show.
Yeah, absolutely, and it will not be your last time. I've been trying to get you here for a while now, but thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm glad you did not attempt to boycott us too.
Well, I don't boycott the media. I hug them, I speak to them. I have no problems with them.
First of all, Mr. Dlamini, please explain to me, what is the relationship between the ANC and the Alliance?
The relationship at the moment is at its lowest between COSATU, the ANC, the SACP, and SANCO. Of course, it's expected. It's now a pattern because one thing that I should tell you, it's a matter of great concern. All our formations have been around for quite a while. The ANC, 105 years. The SACP, about 95 years. COSATU, 32 years this year. SANCO, a few years lesser. We still fail to manage leadership succession. And each time our organizations have got to be going to congresses where they will be electing leadership. And in the ANC, we would have in its 5-year term, at the second term when they have to elect leadership, it's sparks flying all over. And I think that thing we should now learn, that we should overcome that challenge. And I think this year in particular, we are engulfed in that type of a situation. COSATU has made a serious pronouncement about the ANC and the leadership of the ANC. The party has done the same, but it all points to one direction: our ability or inability to manage leadership succession. The other factor that has got to be taken into account under the circumstances, we are 23 years into democracy, and there's an expectation by the poor, by the working class, by South Africans that this democracy ought to have given something to South Africa beyond what it has. Those expectations are increasing. There is a groundswell of opposition that is emerging. The country at the moment is technically in recession, so they say, but the workers, the working class, have been in recession for many, many years. We still have more than half the majority of South Africans who still live below the poverty line. It's a fact. Inequality is so huge in our country. Unemployment is sitting at 36%, broad definition, 27%, which means we have over 9 million people who are supposed to be at work. They are not working. That should account for the socio-economic situation that has been unfolding in our country 20 years into our democracy, and accounts for the good sound, the noise that has emerged now even from some leaders in the ANC who are saying we need a radical socio-economic transformation in this phase of our democracy. And going to the policy conference of the African National Congress in a week's time, we are looking forward for that, because we have to then give content and context to this radical socio-economic transformation for it to have a greater meaning for the unemployed, the poor.
So, Mr. Dlamini, is COSATU still calling on President Jacob Zuma to step down?
Yes, COSATU has called for President Zuma to step down. It was on the 1st of March 2017 in a special CEC. That call has not been rescinded.
Why do you want President Zuma to step down? Is it because you want Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa to ascend as president? Because if President Zuma steps down now, this would give Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa 5 months to grow his branches and see himself as the ANC president come December. Why don't you wait until the elective conference, then you can endorse the leader that you want?
I think we must separate the two, because even those calls were made separately by the Federation. Firstly, indeed, in November 2016, COSATU took a decision that it would prefer that Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, who is the deputy president, and as a tradition, in the forthcoming conference of the ANC should be elected president by the ANC. So that decision was taken in November last year. This year, due to a range of reasons, one of those was COSATU being concerned about how the issues of cabinet reshuffle was handled, in particular from a consultation or lack thereof point of view. COSATU then say, no, we think President Zuma should step down. He should step down for us to be able to be clearer due to a number of reasons. COSATU would have referred to how issues of Inkandla were handled or mishandled. COSATU would have referred to the state of the alliance, that we were not being led quite well there. And on that one, I should qualify, it's not just President Zuma, it's the whole of the collective of the ANC.
Is COSATU then, Mr. Dlamini, not leading a certain faction of the ANC? Because if you cannot wait for 5 months until the ANC's elective conference and you want President Jacob Zuma to stand down right now, are you not representing an anti-Zuma faction? Don't you think that you are perpetuating the factions in the ANC rather than uniting the ANC, particularly after you've spoken at the January 8 convention on unity and the year of Oliver Tambo?
COSATU has been calling for unity of the ANC-led alliance, and the unity of the ANC would have been the first ones to say the ANC can't venture into a succession debate too early, because this thing started as early as 2013, just after the Mahlangu conference. People were beginning to meet in corners, and one side they are calling, they want to push for Zuma to step down as early as 2013. On the other side, they are beginning to talk about who should lead the ANC 5 years into this term of office. When COSATU has been saying, no, it can't be done. It can't be that we venture into public spats. People are looking at the alliance being the leader of society to provide leadership on a range of issues. We've been calling for meetings with the African National Congress as COSATU on a bilateral pattern. We've been calling for alliance meetings. They've not been happening. We've been calling for the review of the NDP, the economic chapter, the labor market chapter of the NDP. There's an agreement that that task has got to be carried. As far back as 2013, nothing has happened. And therefore, COSATU comes to that determination and say, no, comrades are not listening. The president of the African National Congress is the head of the organization, and it would be our expectation that he would also help us to move forward in a way.
But Mr. Dlamini, what about democratic processes? If you want President Zuma to step down now, and you've already declared Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa as your valued candidate, is that not being undemocratic? Because you do know that in the ANC, it is the branches that vote? Why do you assume a leader before the branches have spoken?
We do say that COSATU is not a branch of the ANC. All what COSATU could do, once they express their preference, they would have to then go and influence the branches of the African National Congress. People would have said, therefore, COSATU is not disciplined enough. Why do they make this call? I've already told you that we have been trying, and we're not giving up on that project of persuading the African National Congress, one, to respect the alliance and the alliance processes, two, to work to unite and unite the African National Congress so that the whole country or the alliance is united. We have not given up on that project. But then what do you do when processes are moving and you have an interest as the organization COSATU in those processes of the African National Congress? Because whilst the ANC says, no, this matter is closed, you hear leaders all over the show every day. They are either campaigning for their own positions, they are either influencing others. Some are even in COSATU. From the ANC, they are talking to different leaders of COSATU, pushing their agendas. You have, as an organization, have to arrive to a point where you take a particular decision, and that's what COSATU has done.
Why would you go with Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, who in many ways in this country represents a capitalist idea? How do you expect to represent the workers when you are taking Mr. Ramaphosa to position number one?
COSATU has looked into what I've referred to as the tradition in the ANC. The deputy takes over. I know other people will continue to challenge us on that, but that's how, as COSATU, have looked into it. But when it comes to him, we have said he is from our ranks. He has led as the General Secretary of the National Union of the Mine Workers. He has negotiated the constitution of this country, of course, within the ANC ambit. He has led the ANC as the SG. He now is the deputy president. So we looked into that aspect because the whole notion around the ANC being a multi-class organization dictates that you have capitalists in the ANC, you have communists, you have ordinary workers. Like I'm an ordinary worker there in the African National Congress.
And I understand the point of tradition within the ANC because, President Mbeki came after President Mandela. And are we saying that the ANC must now avoid democracy and take upon tradition?
No, not at all. The ANC can't afford to do that. The ANC, as I've said earlier on, COSATU not being the branch of the ANC, would rely and influence and persuade members of the ANC in their own branches to look into the person we prefer as COSATU. But we do not ask for the ANC to abandon its constitution and democratic processes.
Because President Mbeki also stood against President Jacob Zuma. So right there, I think that defies tradition.
Remember, Mbeki was the president, so Zuma stood against Mbeki, just to turn and tweak it around. And this would be in the context of a fudge of different things. Factionalism in the organization, democratic processes, leaders wanting to hold on to power. By the way, the constitution of the ANC does not prescribe terms of office for leaders, including the president of the ANC. It's only in the state where you have to serve 2 terms. But in the ANC, there is no prescription. So he had the right to stand But what was clear was that a Zuma was ready to take over, which is what the branches of the ANC decided even at that time. So we shouldn't be seen to be tampering with those when we are simply saying, as COSATU, we prefer so and so to be the next one.
Mr. Dlamini, you attended President Jacob Zuma's birthday party.
Yes.
And then you later came and changed your mind, and you apologized for attending President Jacob Zuma's birthday party. Did COSATU force that apology from you?
I'm happy you're raising that question. Firstly, no one forced me to firstly go to the CEC of COSATU and say to them, I see that my attending to the birthday party of President Zuma has caused confusion because COSATU has taken this position that they have taken, and therefore I apologize to the CEC as the CEC. I went to do the same at the Central Committee of COSATU, where there were more shop stewards of COSATU in that meeting, precisely because I accepted that that had caused confusion within. In the current environment, there are those that could not even understand why I should attend the birthday party of the president, to which I was invited as an ANC NEC member. That's why I attended, and I had seen nothing wrong in attending there. But when things that were unfolding after, I said, okay, I must take responsibility for the confusion caused and apologize. No one forced me to do that.
Personally, do you regret attending the birthday party?
I regret the confusion. I regret the state of affairs that now I can't even go to President Zuma's funeral of a family member when somebody has died there. It seems that would cause problems because I am the president of COSATU. I regret that type of a situation as it obtains in our country, and I wish we should come to a point where we pass those types of criticism.
I understand that you are encouraged by the mining charter and that the lives of South Africans will be empowered. Take me to your satisfactions and dissatisfactions concerning this new mining charter.
Remember, in the past 10 years, the MPRDA has been a toothless instrument that even government failed to monitor and implement. Leave alone the mining houses, they simply ignored that. There was an allocated 26% to our black folk workers and ordinary people of South Africa. But how much did we get out of that remained a problem. Now, there's this new or reviewed charter. We've welcomed that as the Federation. It's a very great step to the right direction. It could have gone even further. But the fact that you now increase it to 30%, you now talk about what should be the role of Mahlangu, who wants to venture into the mining sector as a business person. You talk about the ordinary workers who must benefit out of that, and government say we'll monitor and force that this happen. We must welcome that. We are disappointed that the Chamber of Mines even wants to reverse that. We are disappointed. We hope they don't do that. We hope from the leadership of the ANC, as we go to the policy conference, the ANC should say this is the step to the right direction.
Many stand against Mr. Mosebenzi Zwane's mining charter. And I say that because he's reigned as the prince of transformation. He's going to be under attack from what I deem white monopoly capital. Mr. Dlamini, what do you say to the many voices who oppose this new mining charter?
As I've already indicated about the Chamber of Mines, which is threatening to go to court about
even
this
members
matter.
in the ANC. Just the other day, he was called for an emergency meeting to account on his posture of the mining charter.
COSATU on an issue of the minister, Zwane, and his inability to have meetings with the main union in that sector, the National Union of the Mine Workers, COSATU called for him to step down. So now he has led and taken us to the step where we are with the mining charter, and we have welcomed that. And I think we must support him on that work. We have to encourage comrades who dare the status quo and disrupt the status quo. We must not discourage those people who try to do that. And COSATU will be in that context saying we welcome the charter, the review. More still has to be done. Msebenzi Zwane must come and meet with us, and we discuss how we must strengthen the work where he is with this charter right now, because we want us to disrupt the status quo in that sector.
Would you go as far as to say the Chamber of Mines is captured?
Those are the capturers, because you remember the Chamber of Mines is a grouping of different mining entities who sit in the economy of this world, of this country.
So they don't want transformation?
In our view, they failed to advance transformation in the mining sector. I'll tell you why. Workers are still dying there almost every day. Dangers in mines. There is no change in the health and safety. Much as little is being done. If it wasn't for the National Union of the Mine Workers, would be many miles behind there. And thanks to those mine workers who have supported that. The ghost towns of the mining communities is a clear failure of the mining houses to own up with the MPRDA and the mining charter to transform communities in those areas.
The Public Protector recommends that there should be an amendment to the Constitution. Many voices have spoken and are speaking against Ms. Mkhwebane. Do you think that there needs to be an amendment on the Constitution as so far as the Reserve Bank is concerned, and if we want to extend it even to the nationalization of the Reserve Bank or even the nationalization of mines?
Let's support Advocate Mkhwebane on this matter. And as COSATU, we shall do so. COSATU has been calling for the nationalization of the Reserve Bank of South Africa. It's at the moment owned in Germany and elsewhere. It's privately owned. It is not actually playing the role which South Africa as a state has aligned itself with, of a developmental state. You see, the Reserve Bank always relies on what they call the committee, the MPC, is reliant on one instrument, interest rates, to target inflation. That's the only thing they are doing. They are not talking about how many jobs we want to have in South Africa so that we create a stronger, bigger base for collecting taxes when more people are employed. The Reserve Bank at the moment is anti-development of South Africa. So the call by the public protector, in our view, even to criticize that call purely from a constitution base or point of view is a deflection from the real issue. The real issue here is that ABSA and Bangkok colluded in crossing the picket lines. Then, remember, there were sanctions against South Africa, and Bangkok, feeling the squeeze of the sanctions, is assisted to get a loan, and the Reserve Bank cooperates with that. Of course, during the apartheid era, it would have been the time. But the fact of the matter is that there is money that was given as a free loan. This is how people want to argue. They are not focusing on them having to pay back that money. So going to court is a continuous deflection, and I suspect why. The bank, the particular bank, ABSA, and other banks who may be guilty of the same crime of repossessing houses of South Africans and reselling them for 10 rands or 100 rands. They may be guilty themselves of being a risk. They know this ruling would have a devastating effect. So for me, they shouldn't waste time going to court. Firstly, they should pay the money and fix the wrongs that are in that sector or in that industry.
The Constitutional Court has found that the Speaker of the National Assembly, Ms. Baleka should exercise her discretion to vote or not to vote in secret. What are your comments?
Look, firstly, I'm really battling to read what is new from how the Speaker would have argued her case on this matter with this outcome. I see it in a way favoring what she has said before. Yes, so I see that, but I also think that there would have been an attempt to create some balance between what the opposition wanted and what the law gives for the Speaker to implement in Parliament. And then now the decision is, it is her discretion, which has been the case, and I think we must respect that. But I think the fundamental point on that issue, and I talked to the African National Congress now, because there should not be an impression that the ANC doesn't trust its deployees in Parliament. The ANC should trust them. Whether it's a secret ballot or an open vote, the ANC trusts its cadres because it has given them a mandate. Yes, the judge says the public, I respect that, and we should respect that, that they are there representing the public, but also it should be respected. I think the judge also mentions that they have a mandate by the political party, and the party trusts them to implement the party line, the party mandate. And I trust those MP. Tina, we would always argue that they can never vote in the interest of the opposition.
Mr. Sdumo Dlamini, it's been a pleasure. It's good, it's nice. I hope you'll come soon.
Thank you very much, and keep the good work.
Thank you, sir. And that was that, COSATU President, Mr. Sdumo Dlamini. Factions in the ANC, COSATU has drifted away from the ruling party. But it is 2017 after all. The ANC elective conference is ahead of us. Will the alliance join back together? President Jacob Zuma is still the president. The policy conference starts in a few days' time. You be seated. This is Straight Talk. I am Sifiso Mahlangu. Pray for South Africa. Channel 405 on DSTV every Sunday at 7 p.m. It's a good day from me.